Hi there, this is Allison with Let's Go Travel Tips. Today I am so excited because Princess has released their COVID health protocols for sailings in Australia. We were expecting them this week, and quite frankly I thought they weren't coming in till Thursday, so we will watch for more updates on Thursday, but I noticed that they were there late last night. They're dated April 26th and today is Tuesday, April 26th. So first of all, I would like to welcome all of our Let's Go family members. Thank you all so very much for your support and for everything that you bring to our Let's Go family. Also, welcome to all of you who are new. We're glad that you found us and we hope that you decide to stay. If anyone here hasn't subscribed, we would love it if you would consider subscribing to our channel. We just have so much useful information that we share here. Our Let's Go family members keep us up to date on what is going on the cruise ships and lots of helpful information. So you're going to want to be here. So first of all, I'm going to talk to you about what those COVID health protocols are for the sailings in Australia. As we go through them, you will notice a few tweaks here and there, but a lot of it is the same as we are hearing for sailings from like the United States, from Europe, all of this. And I do want to point out super fast that as you listen to these, and then I'll move on to the other things in the video, but keep in mind what they're for. They're for Australia. Yesterday I had a comment for somebody that told me that I was telling protocols and they were wrong for Europe, and I wasn't even talking about Europe. So why I'm telling you this is you need to be aware that the protocols are different based on where you're sailing from and to. Where you're sailing to also informs a lot of the protocols. And so just keep in mind that you really need to know what's going on for where you are sailing to and from, okay? So first of all, I would love to hear from anybody if you are thinking of heading down to Australia, or if you live in Australia and have a cruise booked. I know that we've got Let's Go family members, the Down Under Cruisers, and they've got a channel, so take a look at that. They're down there in Australia. They're coming here in October for a cruise out of Miami, but they also have a cruise booked, and I want to say it's in October down there. And so I would love to hear from some more of you. So first of all, just like we are so used to hearing, if you are going to sail, they want you to be vaccinated and you're going to need to do a COVID test. And so the requirements that we are seeing for those cruises there in Australia, Princess points out that just as they do here, that they are sailing with at least 95% of the people vaccinated. And it says that these cruises in Australia are available for guests who have received their final dose of an Australian therapeutic goods administered vaccine at least 14 days before sailing, as well as you need to apply for an exemption just like everywhere else if you are not vaccinated. And so let me tell you, they also want people to know that fully vaccinated means that you have received those 2 doses or the 1 dose of the Johnson & Johnson. So I'm just going to zip here through and tell you all what those accepted vaccines are. They are the same as are accepted for sailings to Europe and sailings here out of the US. So you can have 2 doses of Pfizer, 2 doses of Moderna, the 1 dose of the Johnson & Johnson, 2 doses of AstraZeneca, 2 doses of Sinopharm, 2 doses of Sinovac, 2 doses of the Covaxin, or 2 doses of the Novavax. And so just be aware that that is what you're going to need to have at least 14 days before you sail. And if you don't have that, you have got to apply for an exemption. And so just like here in the United States, you need, as you fill out your Medallion Class app, it asks you to attest. When you first are going through that process to be travel ready, you have to attest that you're vaccinated. So you have to do that. And then just like everywhere else we are accustomed to now, at embarkation, you are going to have to show proof of that vaccine. And so for what is going to be accepted in Australia, they say, is the Australia International COVID-19 Vaccination Certificate, or the Australia COVID-19 Digital Certificate, New Zealand International Travel Verification Certificate, or a Foreign vaccination certificate. So for example, if we were going down and sailing on a cruise there in Australia, since we're from the US, we would be having the foreign vaccination certificate, and we would just show our card like we've got. And so just be aware, it says that on that proof of vaccination, it must detail all the doses that you've received. The date of the latest dose must be at least 14 days before sailing, and it also adds that for Australian domestic itineraries, if you have a valid Australian passport, please use your Australian International COVID-19 vaccination certificate. Alrighty. They also point out that just like on the other cruises, proof of recovery from COVID does not take the place of vaccination. You can mix your vaccines like we're used to seeing, like on those mRNA ones, like the Pfizer and the Moderna. If you have one of one and then one of the other, it's okay. You don't have to worry. Now on to the next thing. They are not requiring boosters, but they do highly recommend boosters, and you need to have received that at least 7 days before sailing. The important thing that Princess points out about those boosters, they say that boosters may be required on specific voyages or by certain health authorities on the itinerary. Vaccination entry requirements can change without notice, so they recommend that you stay up to date on your vaccinations. And so if you do need to have an exemption, they give the phone number. So I'm just going to tell you, and if you need to use the phone numbers, you can just stop and rewind and listen and jot it down. So on Australia, it says to call 132488. New Zealand, you need to call 0800-780-717. If you're in North America, 1-800-PRINCESS. And in the United Kingdom, 0344-338-8663. So hopefully that will be helpful for anyone that needs that. Now as you go to board the ship, as we are used to, you're going to need to have proof of that negative COVID test. As you are doing that, you need to have your negative antigen test, a rapid antigen test, done within 24 hours of embarkation. Or if you're doing a PCR test, it needs to be within 72 hours of embarkation. We are used to seeing the same kind of tests that are required. You just need to take the antigen test or a nucleic acid amplification test, which is the NAAT kind of tests. And so just make sure that you get a rapid antigen or one of those that falls under the NAAT. And that is the PCR, and the rapid PCR are included with that. And that is really truly what we see most frequently. They point out, I love that they add this extra information for people there in Australia, that you can get your COVID test done at your health center, your pharmacy, including Chemist Warehouse and Priceline, your state health department, the airport from where you are departing. You can also go to the Australian Health Services website and find out a lot of information there, as well as the Australian government testing website. And I love that they still include information if you're coming from the US, heading down there. They point out that you can order your test from Optum and Radius as well. As far as the self-tests go, like we're used to seeing that you do it on your own with a healthcare provider on the phone with you, it says that you can go ahead and use those. It says if in Australia, rapid antigen tests are available at most supermarkets such as Woolworths or Coles, or at the chemists and pharmacies such as the Chemist Warehouse and Priceline, eligible Commonwealth concession card holders can access free rapid antigen tests through your community pharmacies, and that you can get up to 10 of those over a 3-month period, it says. So I hope all that information right there is really helpful to all of you in Australia. It doesn't mean quite as much to me since I don't live there and I'm as not familiar with what you've got. They are not going to have testing at the port, they say. They say no, and they once again point out that they're pretty easy to get at your supermarkets and at your pharmacies. And so keep that in mind. They do say that if you are doing that test and you test positive, you and your close, whoever you're going to be traveling with, should not come to the port. You don't need to travel to the port. You just need to let Princess know, and you'll all get future cruise credits for your cruise fare. And so be aware that they're offering that. It says change fees and reasonable expenses if you do make it to you travel and then you're there to board the ship and you do a test. It says that change fees and reasonable expenses related to shoreside medical care for COVID-19, shoreside quarantining, and travel home for you and your immediate travel party will be covered by Princess if it's not covered by your travel insurance. So they do also recommend that with what is going on right now that everyone get travel insurance. It's not required, but it's highly recommended, Princess says, and I agree with them entirely. Before COVID happened, Gordon and I always got travel insurance, and now I even get travel insurance with higher limits, just because you just never know what's going to happen, whether with COVID or anything else. And so I just want to put that out there. Then they also have this question that they answer of like, what happens if I don't get my test results back in time? They once again point out how easy it is to get those rapid antigen tests, like at your supermarkets, pharmacies, and airports, with results back in as little as 15 minutes. And so if I were going on one of those cruises, I would start really early on the day when I was within 24 hours, like they say. I would start really early trying to get my test so that if anything fell through, I would have time to pick up another one. So just putting that out there. You can still do the back-to-back cruises down there in Australia. You are going to be tested in between the cruises. Princess will supply that test for you. A quick note here for anyone that uses oxygen. They are able to welcome aboard guests that use the portable, that use oxygen concentrators and who are undergoing peritoneal dialysis. However, they are not able to accommodate guests who need to use the supplemental oxygen tanks or are undergoing hemodialysis at this time. They point out that the crew will be vaccinated and boosted as they are eligible. Let's see. And then just like we're really used to, you can still get to the ship however you want, book your own transportation, stay in whatever hotel you want. You can stay after your cruise longer in the port. Those are those are just really basic questions they go over. They go over that they're still serving at the buffet, that some stations you'll serve yourself, other stations the crew will serve you. And so I think other than everything that we're talking about here, everything is really like we're used to cruising. The only other thing that they talk about is masks, and they remind everybody you're going to have to wear your mask just as we're used to here. During embarkation, during disembarkation, you need to be prepared to wear it in any of the ports that you visit if they've got a mask requirement, as well as in areas of the ship where it is posted that you need to wear your mask. Okay, other than that, it is recommended but not required. Let me see if I missed anything else here. Oh, finally, if you do get an exemption, you are going to need to do a PCR test before you get on board. Let's see. Or you can do a rapid antigen test within 24 hours, and it says you may not be permitted to go ashore in all of the ports. That depends on the local authorities. If you are able to go ashore, you need to be in a Princess excursion, and you're not going to be able to explore on your own. So that is what we are also seeing everyone else say. And you also might need to have another COVID test before you disembark the ship. And so I just wanted to make sure that everybody is really clear on that. If you can't be vaccinated and you are worried about this, I would just wait a little while to cruise, because of course I can't foretell this future, but hopefully we will get to a place with this that you will be able to go ashore and go on the excursions without any problems. I had a question from let's see, what was I going to say? Somebody had said that they were really sad because they had a British Isles cruise booked, and Princess had contacted them and said that you need to have a booster to be able to go, and they are vaccinated, but they, for medical reason, could not get a booster, and so they were really hopeful that this wasn't going to always be this way, or it was going to be the end of their opportunity to cruise. And so I just wanted to let you know, it says the EU Healthy Gateways, which is what the EU is using as their guidelines for letting people in, currently defines individuals as fully vaccinated against COVID-19 if they carry proof of vaccination within at least 14 days and no more than that 270 days, which is basically 9 months since we heard about that. And if your vaccine is older than 270 days, you need to have a booster. To clarify, guests that have received a booster dose can travel regardless of the amount of time that has passed since their booster dose. And so this isn't just coming from the cruise lines. Like, we know that the cruise lines want to be very cautious, but clearly it's coming from the EU, and I am sure that that carries over into the United Kingdom, and so many of those cruises cross over a little bit. I have some more information to share about some ports there on a British Isles cruise, but they are so cautious there. Some of those places, you know, you think of England and the United Kingdom as being like kind of more wide open, because they did get rid of some of their protocols requiring people like to be tested to come to the UK, which was so tight for a long time, but they are really still so very cautious there. And so I think a lot of this caution is not just the cruise lines, I think it's the ports of call as well. So I just felt like I wanted to tell everybody that, and don't lose hope. I really think that things will get better. We have to think that things will get better, don't we? And so don't give up hope on cruising, okay? Still look at where you want to go. And if you need to, book a land tour for now, or take yourself somewhere, okay? If you haven't joined our Facebook group yet, will you, you might want to consider heading over. It's a wonderful place to be. It's just Let's Go Travel Tips over on Facebook. And you just click on to join, and my husband is the one that will just admit you. And he does keep a good eye on it. So I really appreciate all of you sticking with me through this. I know that it's a long time, but there is just so much information to share that I think is really important. If there's anything I haven't covered that you would like to know about, put it in the comments and I will do my best. And also in the comments, I would just like to hear, since Australia is starting their sailings and now we've got the protocols, are any of you planning on going to Australia? And like, do you already have a cruise booked? Are you thinking maybe of what year to go? We would love to hear from you. As well as last night in our live, we talked about our group cruises. So if you have a vote, put them in the comments below, somewhere you might like to go if you would like to go on a group cruise. If you don't want to go on a group cruise, you don't have to stay. It's okay. And so thank you. If you appreciate these updates, please give this video a thumbs up. I'll be talking to you all again really soon. You all take really good care. God bless you. Love you. Bye-bye.